Activate.
Hey everybody, welcome to This Pink Cloud. This is DJ Kelly Reverb.
Woohoo.
Woohoo. We are a show that is about recovery, multiple pathways to recovery, mental health, all that good stuff. Sitting in with me, as always, give it up for Croissant LeMans.
I'm so happy to be here. This is my favorite place to be on days when I have stuff to be doing with days. I'm just happy to be here today.
It sounds like Croissant is on like Thorazine.
I am just really happy to be here today. Because I like clouds when they're pink. Caffeine's wearing off, dude.
Yeah,
been a long day, brother. Yeah. I only drank one cup. I'm doing better on my caffeine.
Well, the people don't know, but we shoot like 3 in a row, and we're on our 3rd episode. So by the time you get to number 3, you start like, oh yeah, I need to eat food. I need to eat food. Anyway, but be sure like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Excited to have this young man in. His name is Tate, and it's Mosier.
You got it.
Did I nail it? Nice. And
or Mosier if you're French.
Mosier, right?
Mosier.
And you are with Advantage Sober Living, which is in North Richland Hills, and you're a friend of Chad's, which I apologize for. But thank you for coming in. I appreciate that.
Honestly, it's an honor and a pleasure to be here.
Well,
yeah, man.
We're excited to hear the backstory and the share, because Chad tells me it's pretty good.
Yeah, dude, he's good. He's really good. And he gets up and he's animated and he's the only person I've ever seen that go tell his story. And he's like walking around the room, like asking people questions
he's
while
like,
he's doing it.
He's like working the room.
Yeah, dude,
he's like a comedian.
Yeah,
like,
Tate like works the room.
What's your name? So where are you from? What? Oh, you're from here? Oh, shit. I like it, dude.
Yeah.
So a little bit of a showman.
You know, I try to. I feel like a lot of people get disengaged in meetings when the speaker's going on and on. It's almost like being in a lecture hall.
Yeah, it's just like if you're just reading off a blah, 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 you're like, but I like it. Okay.
You got to bring that energy and that excitement.
Interactiveness.
Absolutely.
I love it. Okay.
So tell us, man.
So, yeah.
Go ahead.
Bring it.
I'll bring it. So, little intro on me. So, again, it's Tate Mosier rather than Mosier, but I'll let it slide this one time. I am 31 years old, and I have been blessed to have a sobriety date and the gift of sobriety since January the 16th of 2021. So I just passed 4 years this past January.
Okay. Congrats.
Thank you. This is the longest I've ever been sober for.
I saw you get your chip.
You did see me get my chip.
Goddamn right.
Hell yeah.
So this is the longest you bout with sobriety?
It is.
Nice. Okay.
And shoot, this has been a 12-year battle. And where do I begin? I began back in 2012. So just graduated high school, and I went to a small high school. If you know where Argyle, Texas is, just outside Denton.
Right.
And it is it's basically a bubble, because yes, it is a public school, but it's a lot of wealthy, people who grow up in a very, I guess, moral and structured environment. This isn't like an inner city type school. Mm-hmm. And so the friends I was around were all normal people. There wasn't drugs or alcohol happening for the most part. I remember one of my friends later on towards the end, he got caught smoking weed in a bathroom, and he got put in ISS for the rest of the year.
In-school suspension.
Suspension.
So you got sent up to the International Space Station, brother.
Exactly. That would be cool. I would smoke pot if
they sent you to space.
It's a free ride up there. Hell yeah. And so, I had this completely what I would classify as a normal life.
Okay.
And, I'm 18 years old. I go off to college. I was trying to go to University of Texas at Austin, try to go to Texas A&M. I couldn't get into those schools. Like, I'm a terrible test taker, tried the SAT, ACT, just flunked it.
Right.
But there was another school, University of Oklahoma in Norman, Oklahoma, that was willing to take me.
Right.
And this was a Big 12 school. It was big on fraternities, so I knew it had to be big on partying too.
Right.
I mean, you got to work hard, but you got to play hard too.
Right, of course.
And so I get up there, I'm a freshman, and, you know, I'm making friends with the people in my class, in my dorm, and then I've got a bathroom that connects my suite mates.
Okay.
And so I share that because I come around, I'm majoring in computer science. That's what my goal is. I don't necessarily want to be a software developer. I just want to work in IT, but I need that degree. And so as part of that, I had to take this class called general chemistry. Okay. And I thought, no big deal. I took chemistry in high school. Like, I know how to study in high school. I'm just going to take that same skill set I learned and throw that into college. And I was sorely mistaken because I'm studying, I'm trying to do what I need to for this first test to pass it. I go into that test and I get a 64 on it.
Uh-oh.
And I'm just like, what the fuck's going on here?
Right.
And I make the next right thought or action. It's like, okay, we need to study harder. We need to go to office hours, tutoring, the works.
Right.
That's what's going through my mind. But when I get back to my dorm the next day, you know, when they release the scores, my roommate passed it and my suite mates passed it.
Right.
And I'm like, man, what did y'all do differently? Like, what can I learn from this situation? And they said, well, Tate, we studied too, but we also took this magic little pill called Vyvanse, similar to Adderall.
Right, which is also like ephedra, you know, ephedrine based, and all of that stuff that keeps you up, right?
Amphetamine based, yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
And so they told me it gave them the competitive advantage. And that's all I needed to hear because, you know, I went through DARE, I went through Red Ribbon Week, like all those little drug education courses in high school that try to deter us.
Right.
But I knew that, and I knew this, even though I didn't know what Vyvanse was, I knew that this was a prescription drug, and I knew what an amphetamine was from those classes.
Right.
But when they told me it gave them the competitive advantage, all I could think about is, could this work for me? What if we just try it once? Just give it a shot. Again, I'm going to still study hard, but if this little smart pill could turn me into limitless and help me, you know, execute and pass this test, why not?
Well, if it helped Hitler, I mean,
right? And so I come back around to the next test. We have the next test, you know, about a month or two later. And this time I've been studying hard, office hours, tutoring, like I'm ready for this. And then my roommate scores a Vyvanse pill. We end up splitting it. Mm-hmm. And so me thinking, I don't know anything about Vyvanse, knowing it's it's something that has to be metabolized. It's a slow, controlled release medication.
Right.
So I take this and I wait 30 minutes and I'm like, I don't feel anything.
Right.
And I'm like,
give me another one.
Right. Right. And we only had the one, so I just went downstairs. I bought a Bang energy drink. And I said, you know what? I'm just going to have to chug this, and I'm just going to hope for the best. Right. So I chugged that Bang energy drink, and I roll into this test. And I've got my Scantron, my calculator. You know, they give us the test, and I just start going at it, like answering questions, calculations, the works. And I'm probably about 15 minutes into that test, and all of a sudden, holy fucking shit, baby! Bam! It just kicks in. And I'm like, woo-wee!
Dude, he just did the Chris Farley, dude. Holy shnikes!
And it was an energy, a euphoria, like this feeling of well-being I had never felt before in my life. I mean, I felt like I was on top of the world. And when I was answering those questions, I mean, the only thing I could relate it to was I went bungee jumping.
I could see the future, dude.
Exactly, see the future.
Right.
And so, you know, I'm answering these questions. I'm having the time of my life. Like, this is a blast.
Sure.
And I finish out that test. I go back home and, you know, two things happen. One is the next day they release the scores. And you want to guess what I got on that?
I'm going to say that you probably hit a 97.
What if I told you I got a 34 on that test?
Well, I would be wrong.
But the most important thing is I felt like I passed the test. That's what counts.
It was really the feeling behind it Doesn't matter that I got it all wrong, but that's hilarious. Yeah. It's like that meth head behavior, of people like, I can take the VCR apart, but good luck getting it back together, that kind of thing. Yeah.
And so I had that feeling with me. So they released those test scores the next day, and basically I stayed up all night. There was no way I was going to sleep after that.
Right.
And so that next day hits, I see the test score. It's like I see it, but I don't really care because of that feeling. But that pill starts to wear off, and all of a sudden I'm left with this lethargicness. I'm tired. I'm feeling a little more depressed about life.
Right.
I have some anxiety going on, and it's like, it just kind of seemed like a 180. It's like life was great all of a sudden, and then now it's like I'm slowly returning back to myself. And right now I'm like below my baseline. Eventually I come back up to it. But I share that because, yes, I had these physical and mental effects, but something kicked in, and we call it the obsession in recovery, this part of our illness. And this obsession disguises itself as my own internal dialogue. So I have this internal dialogue of my own thoughts, but then all of a sudden it seemed very intrusive. These thoughts kicked in, and it sounds like a broken record just going over and over and over again, romanticizing how great it felt to be under the influence of that pill, and rationalizing like, hey, we got more tests coming up. We got projects coming up. We have things going on, and we need to get more pills.
Right. Yeah.
And so at first I could kind of not necessarily push those thoughts to the side, but I could power through that with willpower and say, I see I can understand these thoughts. I can't get rid of them. They seem to just keep piercing through my mind, but I'm not entertaining them right now.
Sure.
I'm pushing through life. I'm still participating. I'm in a fraternity, Kappa Sigma at this time, going to class, hanging with friends, and what do you know? Another test comes up.
Right.
And I get another pill, and the same thing happens again. It doesn't take me as high as it did the first time,
right?
But it still got pretty close, and it still had the effect I wanted.
But what was the grade?
The grade. So
the second one.
Oh, the second one. It was still below. I want to say it was a 50, 56, something like that. It was a little bit
22 points high. That's a good improvement, dude. That's good, dude.
It was a good improvement, but I still needed to get a C or higher to actually pass the class.
Right, yeah.
And so, this next test comes around, I take that, and then all of a sudden I got a project coming up in another class, and I'm like, well, I could do that on my own, but man, that pill just really helps me to power through it. I've got an essay coming up in another class, and all of a sudden I'm just making these rationalizations to take more pills, and then finally it clicked. When I was in my fraternity, it was right after I took a pill for an assignment. I'm rolling into this party, and all of a sudden I realized I can drink a lot more. Like first it was maybe just a couple beers, and then it's like, holy shit, now I could drink all this.
Now
like,
you're talking my language. Yeah, dude. Like, because there used to be this stuff called ephedra, right? And you could get it at any convenience store. So whenever, I would take one, but then you could just drink all day long.
Yeah, that was the real speed.
Yeah, it was
legal, dude.
Yeah.
We fucking missed out, Tate.
Yeah.
We really missed out hard, dude. They had ecstasy you could buy at fucking what's like a CVS and shit.
You would get ecstasy given to you for free at any club. You can go to the store
and it was like legal, dude.
Yeah.
That's insane. That's like, dude, wild. We really fucking missed out, dude.
Well, ephedra, it started off being, lose weight. And
it was a weight loss
like
drug.
Mini, they'd call it mini thins. That, or then
wafers.
They went and buy ephedra, but it was basically like White Cross, dude. Like back in the 70s, it's just fucking speed. And the guy at 7-Eleven selling it to you. It's like, cool. Hey, you want some speed?
It's funny you bring that up. Right. I just met with my my new sponsee yesterday. He's 68 years old, and we're talking about our relationship with our addiction. And he's telling me back in the 70s, he was working in the pharmacy. They had biphetamine back then.
Yeah.
And they didn't put it in a lockbox or anything.
Yeah.
They didn't count the pills.
Yeah.
And so he was just siphoning off those constantly. So.
Oh, yeah. And like basically pseudoephedrine, the active ingredient that's in all the cold medicine that they keep locked up now, that they make meth out of.
Because of all the Smurfs.
Exactly.
Because of all the Smurfs. That's what they used to call it.
Right.
There'd be the smurfing all the pills, dude.
Right.
Go in and buy the amount that they can get maximum from each store.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. And so from there, right, I'm making all these rationalizations. I'm getting more pills. Eventually, I decide, why don't I just get a prescription for this? I don't need to keep buying this off people.
Right.
So I had got a recommendation, and this was, I almost attribute it to like a pain clinic, but for ADHD medicine. There was a psychiatrist right off campus, and I got his number, and a friend of mine said, this is the candy man. You just go up to him, bring cash, and you can get a prescription.
Dr. Robert. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So he ends up giving me a prescription, but he doesn't give it for Vyvanse. I asked if we could do Vyvanse. He said, I feel more comfortable with Adderall.
Right.
And so I said, you know what, that's fine.
Actually, Adderall gives me a bigger kickback when I prescribe it. So we're going to go with Adderall.
The funny thing, too, he had his prescription pad, and it had an advertisement for Vyvanse on it. So
that's funny.
But you're right. There's this whole kickback thing.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But I say that so he prescribed
he's
them.
got like that whole entire college campus prescribed to all the pills.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It almost was like a mini conveyor belt, kind of getting him in there.
Come on, yeah, right.
Take a number.
Adderall.
Oh, you need help going to sleep? Here's some Xanax.
Right. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, so Adderall, Xanax. Okay, cool.
And here's just try this OxyContin while we have it. You know what I mean?
Right.
And you just
Little free sample.
You just need to come back in 3 months.
You want to increase your quality of life?
Right. Exactly.
So I get this prescription and I start taking it, and I'm taking it as prescribed. Everything's fine at first, but what I didn't realize is Adderall gave me a lot more anxiety than Vyvanse.
Okay.
And so all of a sudden, I'm starting to have some side effects from this medicine. I'm starting to have a lot of anxiety, tightness in my chest. I'm feeling this numbness, this tingliness in my chest and in my arms.
Right.
And then I start having my first panic attacks from it.
I love panic attacks.
Exactly. And I didn't know what they were. I thought I was, quote unquote, dying.
Yeah.
That's exactly
every time, dude.
That's exactly what I said. When I was 25 in the Pittsburgh airport, I had a panic attack. I thought I was gone. I was like, I need to take an aspirin, put it under my tongue, like that kind of stuff. And literally, then of course, that's when I learned the behavior that if you drink your way out of it, you're gold. But the next day, and it's the cycle,
It absolutely is the cycle. Yeah. Alcohol played a part, but what also escalated it was I was telling my mom about this, and she said, especially when it happens at night, and she says, well, Tate, I've got this prescription for Ambien that helps with sleep. Oh, hell yeah. And she ended up bringing it up to me and letting me try it, and I'm like, boom, all of a sudden again, it's like a sledgehammer. It just takes me out, takes away all the anxiety. I'm getting to sleep. Like, this is perfect. All right. Dude. Now I have a way to get me up in the morning and a way to get me to sleep.
It's the Elvis combo platter.
Exactly.
Yeah, right.
And
I gotta perform, and then I gotta hang with the guys, and then I gotta go to bed.
Exactly.
Right. And I need to do this all chemically.
It's effectively turning into like God in a way, trying to control that.
Right. Yeah.
So basically, I'm starting to have these side effects, and people are starting to take notice. Like, I'm always tweaking all the time, like those little bodily gestures, just these involuntary tics I can't control. And
what is that called? It's called tardive dyskinesia.
Is that what it is?
Because they have a medication for that now.
Oh, hell yeah, dude. Wait, hold on. Let me write it.
Let
me get you for that.
Tardive dyskinesia.
Right?
So that, in combination with me talking, 100 words per second, and dilated pupils.
Dude, Tate's a little spun today.
He's a little spun. Something's off about him. And no one really approached me, at least at that time, like saying, hey, dude, is something going on? They just started distancing themselves from me. And I didn't take that in my mind as like, hey, something's up here. Like, do we need to address something here? I just took it as, fuck them. Fuck them. I don't need these people. Like, I'll make new friends, or honestly, I'm pretty content on my own. And I say that because those thoughts are not me normally. Like I would want to address the situation, but I didn't realize that my understanding of this disease already started to hijack my brain, hijack my thoughts.
Yeah, it's them, not me.
Exactly.
Right.
And so all of a sudden I find myself starting to isolate more.
Yeah.
And what do you know? I stopped showing up to my fraternity.
Right.
Because in addition to the isolation, those pills, especially the amphetamines, they replace the reward center for me. Like I know if I accomplish something, you know, if I get the job, get the promotion, have a good workout, whatever the case is, I get a little dopamine rush from it, a little reward for it, like a good feeling from accomplishing something.
Right.
Now I'm taking this pill and it's releasing all the dopamine I need. I don't need to accomplish anything anymore to have the same reward in the end. So that was a very scary situation because now I'm isolating myself and I am just doing what I want, which is mainly playing video games and showing up to the fraternity parties, but not actually putting work into my fraternity, the other stuff they needed me to do.
Right.
So what do you know?
Being Frank the Tank.
Exactly.
Did you have a nickname?
I think it was T-Man. That's what
T-Man,
they
the Tate Nader.
And so they end up kicking me out of the fraternity.
Right.
They brought me into their little meeting and they just said, look, Tate, here's the deal, dude. You're not putting in the work, man.
No, they said, look, T-Man, we're going to have to let you go, bro. You're a little spun.
Exactly.
Right.
And I took it super hard. It was a crush to my ego. And,
of course.
you know, I was all like upset about it. And then I end up going home and it's like, I know what's going to fix this. Why don't I just take more of these pills?
Yeah.
Take some Ambien to sleep this off. Drink some beer.
Yeah.
And so, again, it's those thoughts again of saying, fuck them. I don't need them. Like, I'm the victim here.
Yeah.
And I just want to throw myself further into making life fair by getting under the influence of something. So I get kicked out of my fraternity. All of a sudden, I start failing my tests and my assignments because I'm not doing them anymore. I don't care anymore. And then all of a sudden, I'm having a conversation, not with the dean, but with one of the staff members there. And she's like, hey, what's going on? Like you're failing these classes. And I end up convincing my mom through my lying and manipulating. It's like, hey, I'm really depressed. I think I've got some, major depression going on. And she comes up there and she was a trooper, but she straight up came in there with me and said, hey, my son needs mental help. And so they gave me a medical discharge. So that was the nice thing. Rather than having the full Fs on there, they just gave me incompletes.
Right.
But that was, again, an additional thing where my parents are coming into play to help enable me in my addiction.
Right. Sure.
So this happens. I end up moving back home, back to Texas, back to Argyle.
Right.
And I am really depressed at this point because I got kicked out of my fraternity, failed out of school, basically lost contact with my friends there.
Right.
And it's like, this was not supposed to happen. My whole life was planned out. I go to OU. I graduate with computer science degree. I go live in not Del Frisco's. What am I thinking of? In Irving.
Right. You go live at a steakhouse.
Double Eagle Steakhouse.
Right.
I'm blanking on it right now. The neighborhood in Irving that's super nice.
Oh, Las Colinas.
Las Colinas,
Right.
Thank you. My goal was to live in Las Colinas, and I was going to be a network engineer for Cisco. Like, everything was planned
Right,
out.
yeah.
All of a sudden, I'm back home. Life takes a 180. I feel like a complete and total loser.
Yeah, sure.
What the fuck happened?
Right.
That was the first time I finally said enough's enough. Like, I think something's going on with these pills and this drinking I'm doing. It's time to stop. It's time to stop cold turkey.
And what year is this?
This is, let's see, I did the medical withdrawal so we're in spring of 2014.
Okay.
Spring of 2014.
All right.
And I finally decided enough's enough. I'm going to cold turkey this. I'm going to rebuild my life.
Right.
And I enroll in University of North Texas because I wasn't going to go to community college. I had too much of an ego for that. I had to be in university.
Right.
But I enroll. I go back to this software job, this tech support job I had back in high school, and they let me come back and work for them.
Okay.
So now I've got a job. Now I'm back in school. I'm only taking a couple classes because I need to rebuild myself. and I need to work on myself, and I'm seeing a counselor at the same time.
Right.
So as I'm going through this, I'm seeing this counselor to work on my issues, but in reality, I'm trying to lie and manipulate the situation because I didn't go see that counselor for me. I had to go see him for my mom's sake.
Right. Yeah. Just check boxes.
Check boxes.
Not because you actually wanted to help.
Exactly.
Right.
And I'm going through the motions on this for about 2, maybe 3 months. And during this entire time, probably about a month after I got back home from Oklahoma, the irritability, the restlessness, and the discontent starts kicking in. I'm having trouble sleeping at night. I mean, started out getting nice 8 hours and then 6 hours, 4 hours, 2 hours, like trying to take mini naps during the day because I'm so tired. I'm feeling really irritable. I feel like I'm crawling in my own skin. There's just this feeling of anxiety and discomfort going on.
Right.
It's like I feel like I'm having not an out-of-body experience, but it's like I just don't belong here.
Right.
And then finally, the discontentedness, like the pills, the alcohol gave me so much pleasure, all that dopamine. Now it's taken away from me. I can't get pleasure from things anymore, watching TV, listening to music.
Right. Anhedonia.
Exactly.
Yes. With the old RID is what they call it. Restless, irritable, and discontent. Yeah.
And then you add on top of that, I still have that obsession, that broken record of thoughts going on. And also that same voice is reminding me of my past failures now in Oklahoma. Like, oh, remember you got kicked out of fraternity? Remember when you were stupid about that?
Right.
And then, everything's on me. It's all Tate's fault. And I'm having all that going on at the exact same time. And I don't know of anyone who could truly make it through that. Eventually there's a breaking point. And if your narrative is to tell yourself you're a piece of shit every day, then guess what, man? You're going to become that piece of shit you think you are, man. Unless you do something to fix that stinking thinking, Chad. You know what I mean? Fix that stinking thinking.
Huh?
Thanks for playing.
Hey.
Hell yeah.
So
I'm trying to push through day by day, and I feel like I'm just pulling teeth to go through, and I'm having all this sensory going on. And I finally get to this point where I'm pushing through. All of a sudden, my psychiatrist from Oklahoma reaches out to me and says, "Hey, Tate, we haven't seen you for a couple months. Do you want to schedule an appointment?"
Now, is that the guy, the
candy man?
No, the candy man.
He is,
candy man's like, dude, you're off schedule, bro.
Exactly.
And I got you. They got this new shit, too, dude.
And so he reaches out to me, and
because he's a thoughtful doctor, right?
Exactly, he's a thoughtful doctor.
He's a good person, right? Just
and he knows I always pay on time.
Yeah, that helps.
So he reaches out again. I'm feeling like shit, and I'm like, you know what? I'm back in school. Like, what if we could do this differently this time? What if I just took the Adderall? Right. Leave the alcohol alone. Let's leave the Ambien alone. All of that.
Right.
So he's about 2 hours away, and I make the drive up there 2 hours to the psychiatrist.
Sure.
He sees me. He gives me my prescription. I get it filled the same day, and I head back home. Right. And the next day, I'm rolling into school, and I start popping those Adderalls again. And by this time, we actually talked about how the Adderall was giving me a lot of anxiety, so we lowered the Adderall. We did the instant release as a booster, and then he added the Vyvanse in for me.
Hell yeah, dude. that dude is your plug, dude. He's a good plug.
Yeah.
He is. And so finally, like, as soon as those pills kicked in when I'm in school, not only did I feel that excitement and that energy again, but I felt relief. It's like, like finally, I can feel normal
back
again. I'm back.
Right.
I've arrived.
Right. Yeah.
And, like it tells us in our literature, at first things might be fine in a relapse. Like I have control over this. This is fine. Except I can do that for a couple days and things are going well. And then all of a sudden, like I get real tired of how late I'm staying up at night because I'm getting spun up and staying stimulated all day. And I just have it in my mind, well, once, 10 p.m. hits, like I need to get tired and go to bed for the next day.
Right.
So this is going on. Those thoughts are going on. And it was just so easy. There was no defense on my part to go back to my mom and ask her for some more Ambien, because she had plenty of bottles. Like, I don't even know why she had so many, but she did.
Right. Well, you never know, man. Maybe she had a candy man doctor too, you know.
Maybe so. Yeah. So she gives me her Ambien back, gives me some Ambien, and of course I'm taking that, and it's like, boom, now I can sleep again. Like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
And I'm continuing this cycle for probably about a month and a half, and I start having panic attacks again. And it got so bad, I told my mom about it, and she said, well, hey, there's this family doctor you can go see. So I go see this family doctor, and I'm telling him what's going on, and he tries to put me on some like an SSRI.
Right.
And I'm trying to explain this anxiety, and he says, okay, I'm going to give you a small Xanax prescription to help you through these panic attacks.
Bingo, dude. Yeah, here's a little benzo.
Exactly. Right. So now I've got something to get me awake, something to get me to sleep, something just to smooth out the day.
Hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah.
So I'm continuing through this, and what do you know? I fall back into the same pattern. Like, I stop caring about school again.
It's amazing how those work together. Yeah.
And I'm seeing this counselor, and I'm telling this counselor, honestly, I'm trying to remember exactly what our conversations were, but there was so much I was bullshitting him. Mm-hmm. And I realized I was starting to go downhill with my schoolwork again. So what do? I go to my counselor, and I make up this story about how, hey, things are not going well. I just don't think I was ready for school yet. Like, I need to take a break and figure things out. And boom, he writes me a letter to get another medical withdrawal from University of North Texas.
Right.
And that's exactly what I needed. So summer came around. I wasn't in school.
Right.
I was just working.
Right.
And the job was going well until my boss approached me and said, hey, Tate, we're going to be heading out of town. We're going to be going to the other side of the country, and I was wondering if you could dog sit our house for us.
Oh, no.
And I thought, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
She takes me to the garage, and she says, by the way, we have this huge keg full of Corona, and you are more than welcome to it, and you can have your friends over if you want to party.
I'm gonna float that bitch. Well, here, hang on. Let's stop there, throw to commercial, and our new sponsor, which is right here. Hey guys, Kelly Reverb here. Yep, you guessed it. We have no sponsor. Hey, so if you want to be a sponsor of the show, be sure and hit me up on thispinkcloud@gmail.com. Also, hit the link tree, please. We could always use your support. There is a one-time donation. There is a monthly support button, all that stuff. Also, we're doing shout-outs. So if you want a shout-out, we can work that out. And if you want to be a guest, hit me up. All this good stuff can happen via email at thispinkcloud@gmail.com. All right, well, we appreciate your continued support. We always love you guys. All right, and then Chad and I actually have some new music out, and here that is. All right, and be sure and follow us on Spotify, Apple Music, all that good stuff. But our stuff is doing good, and especially my favorite song, which is Fantasy.
I like to say that there's one favorite song that I have, and it has always been my fantasy to play the song Fantasy. But
it's weird how
Chad LeMans and the Kelly.
How different songs are doing well that we didn't expect to.
Yeah, well,
it's kind of weird how that works.
Turns out people have heard of Duran Duran or whatever.
Well, that one is
the Depeche Mode. Depeche Mode.
Right. Well, anyway, but subscribe and be sure and subscribe to the podcast and all that good stuff. But back to Tate and the Keg.
So
Yeah.
Basically what happened, they let me basically dog sit their house. And I have this keg, I have all my pills on me, and this is where combining the alcohol, before it was controllable, but now things were starting to get out of control. And I end up making it through that dog sit, but I was in a bad Ambien blackout with that Corona.
Well,
And
that's what I hear. The Ambien will just straight up, like, you'll do stuff and you won't even realize you did it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I end up causing some property damage. Like I broke some of their dishes, a statue.
I love it, dude. It just turns into like spring break party, dude.
Exactly. And for some reason, it stuck with me. It's like things are changing now in a bad way.
Yeah.
And, I came, I was honest with them about what happened, not about the drug use, but I just said, I drank too much and this happened. And they ended up forgiving me and all was well.
Right.
And that kind of stuck with me because all of a sudden I start having these episodes when I'm taking the Ambien and drinking and then the Xanax, and I'm just doing stupid shit, things I can't remember, and just causing damage. I'm just being a complete, just acting, stupid, basically. Yeah. And on top of that, this is going on. All of a sudden, the Adderall stops working for me. Like,
yeah, you hit your ceiling. Yeah, right.
There was the ceiling, and by this time, I don't know how my brain was able to do it, but I was watching Breaking Bad, and I got interested in what this methamphetamine is.
Right.
And if you look at the molecular structure of it, this is how I like to think about it, because meth is a dirty drug. I was told, never take this; it's going to destroy your life. But if we approach this from a scientific standpoint,
right.
What exactly is the methyl molecule? It's like a carbon binded to 3 hydrogen or the other way around, but all we're doing is taking a methyl molecule and adding it onto amphetamine, what Adderall is. So it's just methylated amphetamine. What could be the real harm in that?
Right, exactly. Exactly. As long as you come at it from a scientific approach.
It's purely scientific.
Yeah, exactly. Well, then that just means you need to do research.
Exactly.
Right, yeah.
Plenty of research, and through that research, I learned about the dark net.
Right.
And I'm like, well, this is good. I don't really know any real world dealers per se.
Sure.
Like, I didn't know where to start with that. I didn't come from the streets by any means, but I'm on Reddit. I'm doing my research on this drug, and then boom, the dark net comes up.
Yeah.
And this was right after the original Silk Road got seized.
Right. And Silk Road, for those that don't know, was a big, huge, basically drug operation that was run out of like an apartment in Amsterdam.
Exactly.
Right. And the guy lived with his mom. Yeah. Have you ever seen that?
Oh, there's
It's a good documentary.
Oh yeah.
So anyway.
So I landed on this market. It doesn't exist anymore, but it was called Agora back in 2014. Mm-hmm. And I learned how to do everything with the Bitcoin, the cryptocurrency, putting in the encryption for your address, all of that. I finally figured it out, and I got on there, and I was amazed. It was the Amazon of drugstores.
Yeah.
They had everything by category for dissociatives, stimulants, all that. So I found a dealer who could give me some meth. And what do you know? I found Ambien and Xanax on there too. So it's
dude.
Why do I need to go to a doctor for this? This is cheaper just getting it on here.
Well, yeah, and I have friends that still to this day order MDMA or sassafras, which is what's in MDMA, the active ingredient. I just get it from Canada. I'm like, cool. All right. Good for you, bud. Right.
So I end up, the meth came in the mail, the other drugs came in the mail, and finally I was like, okay, this is the time to actually try this now.
Right.
And I remember snorting my first line of meth, and it burned so badly, that pain.
Sure.
But when it kicked in, it felt like the very first time I got high again. And what I didn't realize was how much longer meth lasts. Like Adderall, I could stay up for 2, maybe 3 days. Meth was a minimum of 3 days.
Yeah.
And I say that
it's a commitment.
It is a commitment.
Right.
And
going in, we're maybe going to see some shadow people towards the end, and then we're going to crash really hard.
Exactly. So while this is going on, I'm staying up longer. I'm taking more of these drugs. I am starting to hear and see things that aren't there. I remember installing 150-watt light bulbs in my room so there were no shadows, so they couldn't play games with me.
I had an x-ray machine.
So things really started to progress, and I mean, the lying, the manipulating. Of course, I'm running out of money, so I'm stealing money from my mom, stealing pills, and things are just getting out of control in my life.
Right.
And finally, be in mind, I'm still seeing this counselor on the side, like working through my issues with him. And what finally happens is, you know, I'm at a point where I lost control. Like I'm actually in a meth psychosis, but I tried to calm myself down with some Xanax, and I roll into this counseling session. And I think I'm fly. I think everything's fine. And, you know, he's just looking at me, and like I'm talking again, you know, 100 words a second, and he sees my dilated pupils. Like I cannot sit still. And he just looks at me and says, Tate, I know what's going on here, man.
Right.
Like, you can't bullshit me anymore.
He goes, Tate, I know what's going on. You need some more pills, dude.
You know, if that was the case, things would look different. But unfortunately, this was a legit counselor. And he tells me what's going on. He just gives it the truth straight to my face. Like, look, you've got a problem and you're out of control.
Sure.
I think you're a harm to yourself and a harm to others. So here's the deal. You can either go to this detox center voluntarily, or I'm going to put a 72-hour psych hold on you and have the cops drag you there.
Yeah.
And he told me that, and I was in a lot of fear. I had my car keys on me. I'm like, this isn't happening, dude. Like, I'm leaving. I'm out of here.
Right.
And he said to me beautifully, it's like, that's fine, Tate, but these cops are going to start looking for you.
Right.
And when he said that, the one thing I could be honest with myself about is that I'm not a fast runner. Those cops are going to catch me.
That's funny.
And so in that moment, I don't know what it was, a moment of clarity, surrender, but I said, all right, I guess I have to do this.
Sure.
So I get over to that detox. They let me in. They introduce me to, you know, they give me some medications to detox. And I'm there, I'm sleeping, I'm part of these groups, and all of a sudden they said, hey, we got this AA group, this AA class coming in. And they bring me to that class, and they have these big books, and at the very beginning, everyone holds hands, and they chant, and I mean chant that serenity prayer.
Right.
And when I heard that, I was just like, holy shit, this is like some sort of spiritual cult.
Yeah, what is this cult shit? Right, yeah.
And as soon as that happened, I just immediately shut myself down from entertaining what that was. Right. Like, this is not for me. I'm going to focus on the psych meds they're giving me. I'm going to focus on this cognitive behavioral therapy worksheets and the addition, you know, the counseling, the real counseling they're giving me.
Well, the CBT, the cognitive behavioral therapy, is basically the big book, but they just take God out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. So. And so I end up making it to the end of my 7-day stay. So I thought, I'm seeing this psychiatrist every day. It's like, hey, can I go? And she's like, not yet. Right. And I get to the end of the 7 days, and I'm like, okay, this is the typical stay here. Like, can I go? And she says, I just don't think you're quite ready to go yet. Right. But I'll tell you what, I will release you if you go to this 30-day residential treatment center. And so in that moment,
the old bait and switch.
The bait and switch.
Go to rehab, right.
And even though I didn't understand what God was, like, something was looking out for me. There was no way I was going to get out of that detox and go back to do what Tate wants to do. Right. So I begrudgingly go. It's like, all right, just 30 more days of this. If anything, it's a tolerance break. At least it's going to be easier once I get back out.
Right. At least I'll get, and I love it. I love the addict brain. You're like, at least I'm going to get high as fuck when I go back out, because I'm going to have that 30-day window, you know? Exactly. Yeah.
So I end up getting to this treatment center. It's called La Hacienda in Southwest Texas. Laha. And I get there.
It's baller, dude. Bougie.
It is baller.
Bougie.
Very nice. I loved it. Right. And I stayed there the 28 days, and, you know, they forced me into these AA classes, forced me into this understanding of the steps. And I remember seeing everyone in my group, you know, they're progressing step 1, step 2, step 3, and then finally step 4, working on their inventory. Right. Tate is step 1 the entire time. Like, I am not going to progress. I don't want anything to do with this. Right. And I start to get to the end of my stay, And they bring my parents in and they tell them what's going on. It's like Tate is not progressing at all. Like he is not doing well. He has been fighting this and resisting this. Like I would not recommend he go back home to where y'all are at. And I was pissed. I was angry. And what they said is, I think Tate needs to go to sober living, but not sober living down here. He needs to head up to Portland, Maine for sober living.
Okay.
And begrudgingly, I had to accept it because I didn't have any more money. I could
Right.
leave there, but where was I going to go? Was I going to be
you
sleeping
were
on the streets?
you were at the mercy of your parents' wallet.
Exactly.
Right.
So I hopped on a plane. I get out of Laha on the condition they take me straight to the airport, and I fly out to Portland, Maine.
Yeah.
And I get there, and it's December of 2014. There's snow on the ground. It's cold as shit. I didn't bring any winter weather gear with me. And I'm just like, fuck, what am I doing here?
Right.
But I start going through the motions, and this time they're really on my ass. Like, you need to get a sponsor and work these steps, otherwise you're out of here. And I get a sponsor, and the funny thing about that sponsor is I'm at this meeting, and this guy's phone goes off. Do you guys remember the movie Crank? They have that ringtone, like da-da-da,
Yeah.
da-da-da, da-da-da.
Yeah.
He had that ringtone, and I'm like, holy shit, this guy needs to be my sponsor. I love that movie.
I love Jason Statham. Right.
And he, I went up to him, I talked to him, and he already had like 2 years sober and said, yeah, dude, I'd be happy to sponsor you.
Right.
So we start working some steps. I get to steps, we do step 1, we do step 2. Like, okay, I don't know what God is, but I'll have the willingness to believe in a conception and give this thing a shot.
Right.
I get to step 3. I do my 3rd step prayer, my hour of meditation, and then we meet again and we start talking about step 4.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about it. I start making my columns. And be in mind, we talk about girls a lot at the sober living. We're all on Tinder and all that. And what do you know? This chick came out of nowhere on Tinder and matched with me.
Right.
Sent me a message first, and she was smoking hot, like 10 out of 10.
Sure.
Way out of my league. And she came in and we started conversating. We set up a date, and I just immediately put the step work down. I'm like, I want to focus on this more right now. Like I'm not getting anything out of the step work right now, but I'm getting something out of meeting with this girl and being in this relationship right now.
Right. Yeah. Of course.
Because again, I'm a dry drunk.
Right.
Like all these feelings and emotions going on, I'm looking for some type of relief.
Well, and also, you're also getting acceptance, man. It's like,
Exactly.
oh shit, I'm like, this is as somebody that cares about me, man.
Exactly.
Yeah, right.
And it was a beautiful life lesson because I didn't realize just how sick of an individual I was when I was off the substances.
Uh-huh.
I started to exhibit my character defects, which is putting people up on a pedestal, getting jealous easily, lying, manipulating, controlling.
Right.
And thank God she dumped me after just a couple months.
Right.
And I was devastated by it. And I was like, okay, I need to go find another girl right now. We got to replace this. I need acceptance right now. And I had another moment of clarity because I started talking with some girls, and all of a sudden I'm like, what am I doing?
Right.
Am I about to go down the same road again?
Yeah.
And I end up calling my sponsor up, and I'm like, hey, dude, I'm really sorry. I've dropped the ball. I haven't talked to you in months. I knew I needed to do this step work, but I just got busy with a female, and now she just broke up with me because I'm crazy.
And now I've got time for you.
And now I've got time for you.
Now that that's out of the way. Right.
And he accepted my apology. We dived right back into the step work.
Mm-hmm.
And I start cranking out that 4th step because I didn't fully understand it, but I knew if I wanted to get into another relationship, I needed to give this thing a shot first and see if I can get something out of it. I go back to forward to the 1st edition where it says, besides, we are sure our way of living has its advantages for all.
Right.
Even though I couldn't believe I was a true addict, I could believe that I had depression and anxiety.
Right.
And if this program could work for others, could it work for me potentially?
Sure. Well, and I mean, honestly, and I mean, I don't mean to stereotype or anything, but Chad, do you see an addict when you look at Tate? I mean, he doesn't fit normally they would have tattoos or, all addicts have tattoos, beards, and have been to prison.
Well, that's why when he tells his story,
yeah.
Right. Or he just talks like you have no idea what this man is capable of.
Right.
And what he's about to say. It's the most unsuspecting thing
Yeah.
on the planet.
It is. Well,
And he's just so chill and just so this and so that. And he's like, well, fucking there we go. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like,
Yeah. So I end up finishing this fourth step. I do my 3 inventories. My sponsor and I meet up and we do this 5th step where I'm reading out these inventories to him. He just says, I want you to read it to me verbatim. I don't want you to paraphrase anything. I don't want you to try to explain it. Just read it exactly how you wrote it down. Mm-hmm. So I'm at his apartment. I'm reading out these inventories to the best of my ability, to what I got down on paper and prayed with God about, my conception of God. Mm-hmm. We get through that 5th step. And when I finally get to the end, he turns to me and he's like, do you feel it yet, dude? And I'm like, what do you mean? And he's just like, just hold on, man. It's going to kick in. Like all I did was read off these pieces of paper to you. Like, it's not going to have like a drug-like effect. Uh-huh. And he takes me home back to my sober living. Uh-huh. And I sit down to watch TV with a roommate, and holy fucking shit if it doesn't kick in.
Right.
Like, it had the feeling of a drug. It wasn't extreme euphoria or energy, but I was left with this deep peace in me. Uh-huh. I felt this calmness I hadn't felt in years.
Right.
And those voices, that obsession, and again, the voice telling me how much of a piece of shit and worthless I am, they were gone.
Right.
They just dissipated. And I was left with this newfound perspective of hope and a new sense of order and direction in my life.
Right. Yeah. It's amazing how that works, huh?
It is.
Yeah.
And that was when I finally realized it took till the 5th step, fake it till you make it, to finally really understand I was an addict.
Right. Yeah. And it's crazy, but it's funny because you're not like the conventional addict, like, oh, street drugs, blah, blah, blah. You know, it's just starts off with prescriptions, good college kid, and then, okay, let me figure out how I can manipulate the system. And the doctor's like willing. So it's like, oh, this beautiful relationship we have. But in the meantime, you're turning into this, junkie, basically, or pill popper, but it's crazy how that narrative goes. But it's like, it's the same as Chad or as mine, It's still the bottom line. It's still the same thing, and we're trying to escape the way we're feeling or feel a different way. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So real quick before we go, you also have your own sober living facility, right?
I do, yes. Okay. So there is a lot more to my story, but I'm going to just paraphrase that.
Okay, yeah.
We're at January 16th of 2021. Mm-hmm. I was so sick and tired of the way I was living.
Right.
It wasn't my worst relapse in terms of consequences, but that was the wake-up call that, you know what, just because life gets good and blessings come doesn't mean that lets me not put in the work, continue to put in the work.
Right.
So when I come in this last time, I am being a part of the fellowship, being of service, working the steps, sponsoring, and all of a sudden I was saving up a bunch of money because I was living in an Oxford house, living the cheap lifestyle.
Oh, yeah,
I was basically lived in a closet for 2 years.
Right.
That's what they do.
With Jeff Rigdon?
Not with Jeff, a different house.
Well, now Jeff could fit in a closet, right?
Yeah, dude.
Or Jeff is in the closet, right?
I don't know, man. Yeah. Probably.
Anyway.
So I was saving up all this money from my job because I had a software job at a finance firm in Dallas.
Right.
And my goal was I wanted to actually take a break from work. I just wanted to go travel for a year, like go to Southeast Asia, all that. Uh-huh. That was in the back of my mind. And, I'm approaching...
I want to go to Thailand.
Exactly.
So there's only 2 reasons men go to Thailand. That's golf trips and golf trips.
So I get 3 years sober, and I go visit my parents. I rekindle relationships with them. Things are going well. Mm-hmm. And my dad comes at me and says, Tate, you've been to so many sober livings. I've been to 5 of them.
Right.
Why don't you open your own?
Right.
And this is when, of course, artificial intelligence is coming onto the scene, and I know it's going to automate me out of a job. It's going to happen. I've accepted it. And could I find potentially a business that I could get really passionate about and something that could be successful?
Right.
So he planted that seed in me, and I start conversating with some people, other sober living home owners who mentored me. And I originally wanted to open it in Dallas, and they told me, Tate, Dallas has a strong recovery network, and quite frankly, there's plenty of sober livings.
Sure.
You should go to Fort Worth. And I thought, fuck, I hate country music.
Right.
I don't want to go live in Cowtown.
I hate the stockyards. Right.
And I sat on it for a while, but I sat on it, I prayed on it, and I realized, you know what? Why not?
Yeah.
Why not? So I started the journey. I applied for a loan, and what do you know? All that money I saved up ended up going towards the down payment for that house.
Right.
And there's a whole story to closing on that house that God showed up for.
Yeah.
I probably don't have time to tell it right now, but the point being that there was a lot of fear.
The point being is I stole a bunch of copper and I was able to.
We close on that house. Right. We do some repairs on it. I was in a lot of fear, like, is this actually going to take off?
Yeah.
Like, is God going to be there with me on this? And I end up opening that sober living, and we had some struggles in the beginning, but I reached full capacity after just being open 3 months.
Wow.
I was told it was going to take a year to 18 months.
Yeah.
And that blew my mind. And the final thing I'll mention is, yes, I'm running that sober living home. It's structured. It's high accountability.
Right.
It's no Oxford House. Like, if you're coming in there, when it's time for you to leave, you're going to be in the best position possible with your recovery.
Right. Yeah. And it's kind of cool because you actually live with them. So,
I do. Yeah. Very hands-on.
Yeah.
I love it.
For sure. So if they're interested in checking out your facility or need a sober living alternate in Fort Worth, how can they get a hold of you?
So I actually have a website, advantagesoberliving.com. I have a Facebook page as well, and I've got.
Can we find you on the dark web too?
Not yet. I do need to get my Onion site set up.
You start fucking advertising
on the dark web, dude. There you go.
I'll take it into consideration.
That would be funny because you know what they're looking for on the dark web, but there you go. Rehab?
What the fuck?
That would be funny, dude. That would be a...
Wait, I can order a sober living to get mailed to my house?
I love it. Well, anyway, but so you have a website, and that is what? What's the URL?
It is www.advantagesoberliving.com.
Okay. And
it has my direct phone number on there to call or text me. They can also email me as well.
Okay. And that's on the website as well?
It's on the website as well.
All right, cool. Well, I appreciate you coming on, and it was a very interesting story because it's not your typical, drug addict story, even though essentially you were, dude, But
big time.
Yeah.
It's not essentially, dude. It's like he had the good shit, dude.
Yeah, he had the real shit. He had the pharmaceutical grade shit, dude. Yeah.
He's over here doing chemistry lessons.
Right. Well, I love the I love the justification. Well, it's just one molecule, and really, I mean, just because I'm buying it from some guy that has 3 teeth. I mean, it's all, it's all the same.
Yeah, dude.
All the same.
You dove deep in it, dude.
All right. Well, next week we'll be back, and I'm sure actually, I think I've got my friend Adam from Ireland. He's going to be on the show, but that'll be fun. As always, Chad, meh.
As always, fuck you.
as always, Chad, go fuck yourself. Anyway, be sure to like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And remember, kids, there is no magic pill for sobriety, because if there was, we would all take too many.